Business Security Weekly is live streamed and recorded on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Each week, we address the challenges facing CISOs through our guest interviews, including former and active CISOs. Our news segment is focused on leadership and communication to better help security leaders translate and communicate security risks into business risks. Jason Albuquerque, Ben Carr, Tyler Robinson, and others add their expertise to the conversation. I'm Matt Alderman, and I hope you search for Business Security Weekly in your favorite podcast catcher and subscribe to download our latest content.
Follow us on LinkedIn for updates across our organization, show highlights, and more. You can find us by searching for Security Weekly Productions. And now for the Enterprise Security Weekly news. You can check out securityweekly.com/ESW 347 if you want to follow along as we go through the news or for links to the articles we're covering. Also joining us now is the Master of Marketing, the Mayor of Mayhem, fractional podcast host, Tyler Shields. How you doing, Tyler?
Fractional podcast host, that's a new one, but all right. Yeah, that's pretty much me, though. You nailed it.
Yep, we do have, as promised, since you weren't with us last week, I moved one of the items, story number 13, to this week, because I was interested in getting your thoughts on that since it came off your newsletter from the CyberY. And not sure I 100% understood the all these things, so I put in some notes for you.
Let's talk about them. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
All right. Yeah, let's get the funding out of the way. There's not a whole lot of it, and we've got an acquisition rumor that looks potentially exciting. I kind of want to talk about what's happening in that edge of the market, but yeah, everything has AI in it. I haven't seen a single. I think in the last 6 months, I don't think I've seen a funding press release without AI in the press release, which is just first of all impressive because it doesn't fit into that many things.
Yeah, AI is the hotness for sure. So are we talking about the Zscaler funding rumor, or which one are we talking about? I'm sorry, I missed the transition on you there, Adrian.
No, I was just talking in general. AI is just part of, like, none of this is missing AI at all. Everybody manages to mention AI, but not how they're using it. Just everything's AI enabled.
I'm a little slow on the uptake today, but you're absolutely right. The AI stuff is, it gets you money. And in a world where it's hard to raise money, if you simply slap, think about it. It's like back in the .com days, you put anything .com, you made money. You could raise. That's .com, perfect example, right? That maybe it's not a perfect example because they made a lot of money. They screwed off and lost a lot of money too. But anything .com made money back then. Well, now we're in the AI era, so slap AI on your product, and you too can go raise a seed round.
Yeah. It almost feels like it's just required. It's like, you're not allowed to put out a press release that doesn't have the current keywords, buzzword keywords in it.
And the reality is, if you're just using some form of machine learning, which is perfectly fine and great, a lot of companies are skewing the term to be AI in air quotes, and they don't necessarily have to demonstrate it. And so it really is a buzzword, but SEO and all that goodness and chasing the shiny object is definitely an issue. If you're saying the right things, people are going to read your press release, and if they read your press release, maybe they'll want some more of what you have, or maybe they'll tell a person. So it's for sure a marketing tactic, and not necessarily, I don't think, what's being built into products any more than what we've seen over the last year or two.
And a lot of founders I talk to hate it. They don't want to do it, but their investors and their advisors and their marketing team won't let them get away with not putting it in there. So it's I don't know. It's funny. It's just one of those things, like, everybody knows, that AI isn't central to every single product all of a sudden, but still we play the game. We do it anyway. We shove it in the press release.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. While you were doing this, I asked ChatGPT to come up with some good domain names for me in a cybersecurity SaaS software company domain names. And it came up with a bunch of them, whatever. There's some are good. Most of them are garbage, like hacksmack.com and a bunch of other stupid ones. But then I told it, so this is, by the way, for those that don't know, I have a ChatGPT bot that I created called the snarky marketing bot, cyber marketer bot, right? And so that's what I'm asking, is the snarky cyber marketer bot. And so I said, hey, snarky cyber marketer bot, please go back and focus on the AI domain just to see what it would come up with. And the actual response that it came back with, besides the list of like 5 stupid domain names, was, you're going for the AI domain. Nice choice. It screams, I'm so cutting edge, I probably have my morning coffee in virtual reality. Let's tweak those names for a high-tech AI-driven flair.
Nice.
So how much is your subscription?
So then we have some really dumb AI names that I get to pick from, including Data Defender 360.ai and EncryptoGenius.ai. So there's your snarky cyber marketer bot commentary for the day.
But what's a subscription fee for this snarky marketing bot? I would like a subscription to that.
You have to have a pro. If you have a pro ChatGPT account, which I pay for, I will give you access. That's all you have to have. I can put it in the marketplace and give you access to the snarky cyber marketer bot.
Oh, I love snarky
we call
marketing.
it snarky for short. I like snarky. That's a great name.
We'll just call it. Yeah, I think it was called Snarky CMO or something like that. But neither here nor there. So,
are you looking at the Discord, Tyler? We're getting some responses to.
No, I'm not, but I definitely should be.
Yeah, so while you're looking at that, we have Zscaler in here twice, actually. We've got an acquisition rumor, but they're also one of the investors in our number one story, which is Oleria, which not sure how I feel about that name. It sounds like an additive you put in potato chips. But yeah, they raised a pretty healthy $33 million Series A for adaptive and autonomous identity security solutions. And this is another buzzword I'm seeing a lot, is autonomous. And last time we saw a bunch of this, when SOAR tools first came out, everybody thought security teams were going to automate everything, and they were terrified, absolutely terrified. Also talking about guardrails, automatically fixing anything that's outside of your engineering standards or whatever. Absolutely terrifying. Letting something automatically make changes to whether it's identities or your Kubernetes cluster or whatever. I don't think we're there yet. Every time I see autonomous, again, it's the same with AI. I'm like, good luck with that. I don't think teams are going to fully automate any of this stuff. Not if it's touching production.
I'm gonna counterpoint you on that one, because I think I disagree with you in a wonderfully healthy way, Adrian. But I think the automations are finally here. I've been hearing the automated code remediation stuff for ages, right? Like, we automatically can fix the code, or we at least can create code that you can put into a PR and then click accept into fixing your AppSec bug, etc.
As long as a human's still in the loop. Yeah, but then it's not
that stuff. I agree with you, and I've always said the same thing. As long as the human's in the loop, great, no problem, that's fine. But I think we're finally past that point. I think we're to the point now, within the next 24 months, where it's just going to be, hey, here's the fix push, here's this fix push, and it's going to happen certainly, at a high enough percentage to be considered actually functional. What is that, 60, 65, 70% of the commits come back and, get automatically pushed because with a 99-degree confidence level that it'll have zero impact on the business. I think that comes on the back of these AI innovations, and I'm seeing that specifically with the Copilot concept, right? And the Copilot concept is the trigger for these automatic automations. Talk about a double negative there, or a double positive, but the Copilot concept is where it comes from. I had a wonderful conversation with the previous CVP of Microsoft's Copilot and AI division the other day. And he was telling me some of the amazing stuff that's actually happening within Microsoft inside of the Copilot areas and the stuff that they're automating. SOC automations, patch automations, code automations. These things are coming with such a high degree of accuracy that I think we actually get to the point in the next 18 to 24 months where the majority of them get auto-accepted.
I hope you're right, but I do still think that security teams, now it's probably different for IT teams and dev teams, DevOps teams, but I still think there's a hesitancy to actually automate without at least the human check. Security people are still way too cautious and skeptical for it. And actually Ross, and I'm going to get his name wrong again, Halleluck, wrote, what is it?
Halleluck, I think.
Halleluck? Well, find
so.
him if you don't know who he is. He wrote an amazing Substack article yesterday on heroism and security. And I'm not going to spill the punchline here, but I think it's very true that security people want to stay in the loop. So when it comes to at least security products, it's going to take a lot longer. And maybe you're right that IT, DevOps people accept this and security gets dragged along for years. We've certainly seen that before. But I think at least in our little tiny universe, we're probably not going to see as much of an embrace because they don't want to let go of the control. And to some degree, I understand that. But as
let me ask you this though: why? What's the double click on that? Why don't they want to let go of the control? Is it fear of what might happen if they do let go of the control? Is it a sense of ownership of the process that, hey, I'm human, or I'm the only person that knows how to do this, I don't want to give it away? Like, you have to double click on the reasoning of the why underneath that question. And
of course.
Because, for example, let's say my car broke down in my driveway right now and I call AAA. I don't get in the middle of that. I just trust the guy because I know with 100% certainty that he's going to fix my flat tire, and I don't even go outside. I just go out later in the day and it's fixed, right? I don't get in the middle of that because there's trust. They're better at it than me. I don't need to be involved, and it allows me to spend time on things that I'm good at, right? And I think that's what automations will bring to the table when they get to a point of enough accuracy.
Well, I hope that's true, and you're right. And again, I don't want to give away Ross's post because it was amazing, and he really does the topic a lot of good. But yeah, yes, it is fear. It is mistrust. It's fear of having something go wrong, losing your job, not being important, like all of those things. Yeah. Is baked into the security profession.
And in my opinion, that goes away.
I'm going to guess that it's a lot of this has to do more with the organization. You know, you have some very different security teams. You have security teams who know how to use products. You know, every day they come to work, they log into a SIM, they click some stuff. And engineers who are builders, you know, who come in and you know, if they need to solve a problem, they have the skill to build a software tool. And then the organizations that they work for, you know, like there's a lot of factors here. You know, like how comfortable is that organization, you know, with automating things? Like you have to have the right culture, the right people. You know, one of the things I talk about a lot is the fact that Equifax tried really hard not to get hacked, and they failed to do so. And lack of an engineering culture is part of that. You know, you had the emerging threats team build the snort rule, handed it off to the op team who deployed it in their IDS. Neither team even considered testing that rule to see if it worked. You know, and that's the kind of thinking that you have to have, you know, on these security teams to be able to fully automate stuff like this. You need that kind of engineering background. Okay, we need to test this, we need to debug this, we need to make it more resilient, you know, and think about failure cases and stuff like that. And a lot of teams just don't have that, you know, and without that, I don't think you can be successful throwing a lot of automation into place. And to your point, Tyler, you know, I don't think you have to be, it's more of a mindset. You don't necessarily have to be able to write all this stuff in Python. You know, you can use tines and just click through stuff, you know, and you don't have to write a line of code. But still, it's that thing in your head that says, I should probably test this and see if it works. That some people have and some people don't.
I totally get it. But I think, again, there's a couple gating factors here. One is the gating factor of the accuracy of the automation, right? If it's highly accurate, then what's left? Human risk aversion more than anything else, right? It's just the human beings saying, I don't trust it, or I'm afraid of it, or whatever biases the human being side of it might have. And I think, in my opinion, those need to just be overcome.
If it works out well, then you'll tell your peers about it. You're like, look at this stuff I'm using. It's amazing. It saves us so much time. It'll spread like wildfire. Like just
and I think that's coming.
Yeah. If it works, we'll see it happen quick, I think.
Yep.
Let's see. Where were we? What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about autonomous story number one. I'm amazed that vulnerability remediation is still a thing with startups in it, with early stage startups in it. So Vicarius raises a $30 million Series B. We were talking to Fleet earlier. They're doing some. Pretty much anybody with a presence on the endpoint is trying to do some vulnerability management today. Meanwhile, I'm hearing from a lot of organizations that they're spending less and less time on vulnerability remediation because they don't see any way to get to a point where they can, unless they just fully automate everything, patch quicker than the bad guys can exploit something if there's something exploitable. So
well, that's what this Vicarius one is, Adrian. It's it really is an end-to-end vulnerability remediation platform, specifically wrapping in automations and essentially the ability to pick off and have fixes pushed and attached and have things like that happen fast. Like I said, I don't know anything about Vicarius. I haven't dug into their tech or anything, but my gut tells me that they're going to try to innovate in this market by making the automations, that same exact story we were just talking about, function in the vuln management space better.
Is Vulcan Cyber still or are they still solo?
I think they're still kicking around, yeah.
They also pivoted in a similar direction where they will like spit out the the Puppet salt scripts that you need to roll out a patch and yeah, it looks like they're still they haven't been acquired yet. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this market here. Vulnerability management is one of the oldest markets that we have in security. So
Vicarius raised this $30 million Series B to international expansion, but also to accelerate the development of new AI capabilities as demand grows for autonomous solutions that find and fix vulnerabilities. So we automatically discover it, we automatically fix it. You just let our little superhuman agent loose on your network, and the robots will make everything better.
It is a race, and so still part of the problem there is, I've seen a lot of organizations kind of shift to more of a vulnerability intelligence approach, where Vicarius and Rapid7 and Qualys and Tenable, they all find out about something being vulnerable or a patch being released at the same time that you do. Everybody finds out at the same time. The difference is the moment you find out, you can do something about it, versus when a vendor finds out, they've got to do some analysis of it. They've got to write a plugin check for it. They have to push that check out to their product. And then the next time your product runs, if it runs on a schedule, like there's a lot of lead time there. There's a lot of overhead for a vendor to get that to you, unless they're also, fully automating some of that stuff on their side, on the vendor back end.
Here it comes. Fully automate everything. Automate.
Break things at scale. Move fast, break things at scale.
You are such a cynic. You don't believe. You're too fearful, man.
Is what my experience tells me. And this is what happens. Like I would love to be wrong. So yeah, Zscaler talking about so again, next gen unified vulnerability management is what Avalor is here. I know I've not seen this name pop up a lot. I think maybe some of their funding rounds have popped up, and we've talked about them briefly in the news, but I haven't heard about this company very much.
Katie?
So at a high level, it's data asset management. They take a data lake approach to finding what you got on your network. And I think Zscaler and their history of acquisitions and their, at least it appears like they're trying to grow in a, CrowdStrike, Microsoft type fashion, it, is attempting to bring some of this into the fold. I haven't played with the product, obviously. It is a competitor to my day job. In some ways, it's also a data input in some ways because it's focused on databases, data lakes, data warehouses, and applications. But their claim is that they can find all of your data, give you complete visibility, give you context around it, and then automate remediation for any issues with access configurations, etc.
Yeah, they got to work on SEO too, because when I search for this term that they're using, Next Gen Unified Vulnerability Management, I get everybody but them. I get Home Security, which I'm also not familiar with, Balbix, which has been around for a while, Cyber Edge, Root Shell Security, Visually.
They didn't have any time, Adrian. They didn't have any time.
Oh, because this is brand new. This announcement.
Well, kind of. They took in their last round. I want to maybe even say it was their A round, March of 2023. They looked for a CMO from March of 2023 until roughly, let's call it October, November timeframe. I know this because I spoke to them about it. So I was very close with them during that process a couple different times. They did end up hiring a wonderful CMO. I don't know if she wants me to throw it out there, so I'll leave it off. But a really good close friend of mine was now been there 2 or 3 months. So they didn't have any time to actually do any of the marketing stuff that really needed to be done before they got picked up. And the really crazy thing about this one is the rumor has it's going to be about a $300 million acquisition, somewhere between 250 and 350. When I spoke to them last year, they had basically zero revenue. So this is a $300 million acquisition on what's likely, I don't know for sure because I'm not leaking any secret information because I don't know their revenue, but what is likely below 10 million, probably 5 or 6 at most, maybe 9. That's really killer acquisition. Yeah, that's a hell of a multiple. And so there really wasn't enough time to take this thing to market or do anything different. They built a pretty kick-ass engine. I loved it. When I spoke with them, I was very impressed by the technology. I was very excited about the prospects of maybe doing something with Avalor. And yeah, for a number of reasons, it didn't work out. And you know what? I think they see the writing on the wall. I want to double back to something on you that you said earlier, that Katie said, sorry. She specifically said that it's to compete with CrowdStrike and, help me, Katie.
I just CrowdStrike, Microsoft. That wasn't the most. It's the acquisition approach to becoming the holistic security platform.
Yeah, 100% it's accurate, right? Because this is the storyline that I'm always talking about, right? The holistic data collection, one ring to rule them security platform play that Palo Alto's going after, CrowdStrike's going after, Microsoft might consider going after. And now it looks like Zscaler wants a shot at this same play. How do we get into the ability to collect a broad set of data across multiple cyber markets and unify it? And the data fabric play that Avalor has put together is the type of technology that can underpin that, right? Avalor, JupyterOne, certainly Katie's company, Brains. I have COVID brain from last week, so I can't even remember what the hell your name is. Thank you. Yes, Exonius. Yep. Balbix, there's a handful of other players that could offer this type of technology. I see this market getting rolled up pretty soon. It has to, into those bigger one ring to rule them offerings.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a smart play by Zscaler. for relevancy's sake, we've been talking with a lot of the analysts lately about where is this market going? Where is cybersecurity asset management going? And cybersecurity asset management takes so many different forms. It's kind of like where zero trust was 5-8 years ago with there's no one way to do zero trust security. It's just a process, and you can look at it from an identity point of view. You can look at it from an endpoint point of view. You can look at it from an app point of view. And so the space is getting a little complicated and crowded, which often signals to me that it's solving a bunch of little problems that really roll up into a bigger problem, which is something bigger companies are going to tackle when they absorb the capability. It's more of a capability than it is a product segment.
Yeah, she's brilliant, folks.
One of the things I think is interesting here is, given the youth of the company, the fact that they have over 150 integrations, I feel like that's a huge capability here. And I have seen some organizations try and outsource that. But I feel like that's just the ability to integrate two tools like that could be a whole, it kind of is a product segment, right? Like iPaaS, platform as a service. You've got your Workato and Tray.io, and to some extent, it's kind of what Tines can do now. You don't even have to build a connector with Tines. Yeah. All you need is an API, and you don't even need to know how to write code, and you can put them together. So I think that's one of the biggest innovations I've seen coming out of this market is the ability to build working integrations super, super quickly.
Well, I think there's a couple factors that play into that. One, I pitched a company idea a year ago, probably about a year ago, a little over a year and a half ago, of being and actually, not only did I pitch it, I then heard pitches of 2 or 3 other companies within months that were doing something similar. I ended up not doing it, but the idea was basically to be the glue, right? To be the glue between product X and product Y so that they could communicate, right? And offer all of these kind of a segregated platform of integrations. Enter AI into that solution, however, and it is not hard because APIs are deterministic, comparatively speaking, to a traditional web app. You can just go to AI, feed it your API spec, assuming that it's accurate against reality, and go, write me a Python code to connect this to this, and here's how I want the data set to look when it comes out the other way. At the other end, you write even automate the creation of the code for the transformation of the content of the data. And so, it's trivial, comparatively speaking, to what it used to take to make these integrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on.
Can you go back one, Adrian? I don't want to talk about the story, but can you go back to number 3 and just say the name of the company for me?
Secret Double Octopus.
Thank you. Best company name ever. We can continue now.
It's passwordless. They just raised a very small Series C, a $15 million Series C. But if I recall from their other rounds, they've all been on the smaller side. So based on what they're building, maybe they just don't need a huge team to be able to do this. And maybe that's all they need.
When I was back at my last company doing analyst stuff, I covered them, and they were an interesting company. I loved their name, and I really would love a t-shirt if somebody feels like sending me one. At least 3-4 years ago, they seemed to have a pretty good head on their shoulders about what they were building. I haven't looked at it in a while, but.
So there's a few new companies here. Dapple, I don't know much about, another passwordless vendor, but Pre-Security seems pretty interesting to me. I briefly talked to one of these guys. I don't remember the conversation very much, but and it's very early stage, so there's not a whole lot of details on how they're doing what they do, but they're trying to predict problems before they occur. So I guess, given any kind of problems in any industry, there are precursors, there's signs that something's not being maintained correctly, or maybe somebody's behavior is there's early signs, there's concerns. So yeah, kind of curious to see what they're going to do there. It sounds like something that would aid detection engineering, or be part of detection engineering.
Yeah, honestly, I only had you read the company name because I like the company name. I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, they have trademarked the term SOC GPT though, so that tells you a little bit about what they're building. Continuing with AI, Chrome is getting new AI features. They're going to organize your tabs with AI. I welcome that. Create custom themes with AI, and the use case that everybody has built AI for, helping you write. So I guess you can have like a writing helper in any text box, which I think Grammarly already does, Notion already does, everything already does.
Yeah. Okay. This is news. Why? Because it has AI in it, as we opened up the top of the hour with. It has AI. It's got to be news, right?
Yeah, I just think it's interesting, just the trends of AI coming into all the tools that we use. So I'm not sure if that expands the attack surface on a browser at all. Okay. But yeah, it's something I think security teams should be aware of. The fact that in some areas we're really policing how AI is used, and it's just going to be so simple to use. I mean, it'll be almost transparent. I think by this time next year, just like how Google introduced those like predictive text when you're writing an email, like, I think most of us don't even think about using that anymore. So I think, whereas in the beginning, using generative AI to write something was something very intentional you had to do. You had to go to ChatGPT, you had to open that tab, you had to paste stuff in there. I think a year from now, we'll use it and it won't even occur to us. Like if somebody asks us, did you use AI to write this? We'll kind of automatically say no, but it probably did in some way.
Yeah, it's interesting. I struggle. I agree with you on all counts, right? I think that the usage of AI is going to become more and more prevalent, and people are going to find ways to use it. I use it all the time. I still, my snarky CMO bot, to all the way to actually writing content for the Cyber Y. I actually use it at times to different brainstorming ideas, lots of different ways you can use it. But I think things get fun for generative AI when they can finally shake the shackles of entering text to get something done. When that can finally be shaken and it's fast enough so that I can talk to my Google Home or my Siri and it's actually interactive. And maybe that's not even the right user interface that ends up being the predominant successful one. I'm not sure what it ends up being.
The rumor is that iOS 18 Siri will have LLM type chat capability.
And so when we get there, when it shakes off the fact that you have to type something in, that's when I think you're going to just be mind blown as to where you start to find these little listeners floating around your life at all times, right? In the car, in your home, each room of your home, you put a little Google Dot or something in each room and you can just get stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Couple that with automation, just to really, really make it exciting. Couple that with automation so that things actually happen on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, that's I've got one of those rabbits on order. That's the whole idea of that thing, right? Is everything that you're describing. It's this personal assistant that you just talk to and it gets stuff done. And we'll see. We'll see when it shows up.
Now you got me all excited. I've told multiple people who have bought it that they're crazy and they wasted their money. But now I'm all excited when you describe it that way.
It's not like the $800 AI pin. Like I think the price point was pivotal here. It was really important.
How much was it? I missed that.
$200.
Yeah. I still like to make fun of people like you and Rick. So,
I mean, you're the guy who's been talking this up, and then it comes out and you're trashing it. What's up?
I know. I talk out of both sides of my mouth, Adrian. What can I say?
Yeah, whatever side I take, you have to take the opposite. So it's interesting.
Yes, we keep the show lively that way, buddy.
Yeah, indeed. Some interesting analysis of public cybersecurity companies here, number 8, number 9, which aren't really related, I don't think. But number 9 is like an essay talking about how it's hard to categorize cybersecurity companies that are public. Not all of them are pure play, of course. Like Microsoft, Cisco, stuff like that. But number 8, Mike Prevet basically put together. It's an embedded spreadsheet that automatically updates, but still could be useful if you do a lot of analysis of public cybersecurity companies. So that's a neat tool, number 8.
You know why modern cybersecurity companies are hard to categorize, Adrian, and are getting harder every day? Because we're approaching. Yeah, Katie's raising her hand. We're approaching the singularity of AI, or not AI, but of cyber companies, meaning they have to unify. There's just too damn many of them, all having too small of a focus. And everything just bleeds together and blends together, making it a horrible, horrible market. So at some point, we're going to have 5 companies. 5. That's it. That's where I think we go in 10 years.
I don't think so. I mean, technology would have to stop evolving for that to happen, I think. Because a lot of them pop up as technology evolves. And a lot of them go away as technology evolves, right? Like, you used to have to buy security software to secure your browser, and then the browser companies got really serious about securing them, which is to say Google did, and then everybody just used Google as the backend for their browser. But I don't know. It's security market is very reactionary to what's happening with tech, and I think as long as tech continues to evolve, security will have to pop up these little niche markets to address it.
I think so to a degree, but there's a theory in modern business that all markets, I've said this before on the show, I think, but all markets go to 3 players, right? A 60% owner, a 30% market winner, and a 10% market winner, right? Now, I agree. Where I'm going with this is all markets go to 3, including the global cybersecurity market will go to 3 that matter. It doesn't mean that there won't be innovative young startups that come up, but I think they all end up getting plucked into some kind of superset. This is my cybersecurity company, my enterprise cybersecurity company, period. Be it Palo, be it SentinelOne, be it CrowdStrike, whoever, be it Microsoft. I just buy that. And then sure, some new innovative tech because the browser, the new island browser idea gets invented, like a true idea gets invented. And then it's a period of time before Microsoft buys them, right? But I think the markets, the global cyber market has to go to 3 to 5 players of dominant leadership and then a bunch of ankle biters after that.
So I think you can argue that this can effectively happen without reducing the number of cybersecurity companies out there, because you have this. So a huge number of them, when we talk about 3,000 security companies, I've got a list of them, and I've got it categorized and broken down. And a huge chunk of them are services companies, right? They're going to be your pen tester or their managed services. So that we're already at like 50% right there. It's just outsourcing security, periodic security reviews, tasks, audits, or outsourcing an actual function. But then, like, almost all the companies, these early stage startups we talk about, don't get used by the market as a whole. So is that really part of the security market? You have this kind of whole capsule early stage startup. Mm-hmm. And if you look at their pitches and their logo slides, you see the same companies over and over and over that are more at the front part of the adoption cycle. So like a huge chunk of this market, I don't know what percentage it is. I could probably figure it out just by looking at the stage of companies that are in that database. Never hit the wide, broader market, right? In the same way that a lot of tech startups, that create apps and things like that, die long before anybody ever even hears about them. Like somebody has an idea, they build an app, they throw it out there, it's not successful. You and me never see it, unless mm-hmm. you're following Product Hunt really closely or something like that. And it's kind of, you almost don't want to, because some of these companies I get excited about, they don't survive, and it pisses me off. It's depressing because they are good at ideas. They just don't have broad enough appeal to make it financially successful. But I think you can argue that we're potentially already there, and we already have those. I don't think it's 3 though. I think it's more like a dozen, like 12 to 20, because some only serve like the mid-market or SMBs. Like you want to talk about Fortinet. Like Fortinet isn't competing that much with Palo Alto. They're selling to different parts of the market, even though they overlap in a lot of the things that they do, for example. And then Microsoft just sells to everybody. So
I arbitrarily I think picked 5 or 6 on my first commentary, and then the modern theory is 3, that all markets go to 3 players, but it's always how you define the market, right? So
yeah. I think it would be interesting to also look at it from a revenue perspective, like what percentage of overall market revenue is captured by that top chunk, and versus how much it goes to the small tail.
I dropped. I'm fidgeting with a Tide pen and dropped it on my desk and made a loud noise into the microphone. But I think that's exactly what I'm talking about, Adrian. Is the 60-30-10 numbers are rough market share, and so I think if you define any market, that's what you're going to end up hitting. But anyways,
yeah. Let's see. So number 10, security companies have too much data. So that's still a problem that needs to be solved. We'll see if AI can help. We'll see if SOX GPT can help with that, the amount of data. So this study is all about SOC teams can only get through a percentage of the alerts that fire on any given day. And it's higher than it has ever been. It's 54% according to this survey. But nearly 30% of respondents say they can't investigate more than 3/4 of alerts, which, I mean, that's something for AI and automation to help solve, right?
So along those lines, Adrian, did you see the article that came out? I think it was last week, where they in Davos, Switzerland, for that big event that's over there in Davos, the World Economic Forum, I think it is. JP Morgan Chase. What is it?
A lot of people just refer to it as Davos, but yeah, the World Economic Forum.
At that event, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, was quoted as saying that JP Morgan Chase gets 45 billion hacking attempts per day. I don't know if you saw that quote or not.
I did. So I saw somebody respond to that, one of the social networks. But yeah, that's a dumb statement.
Yeah. It's an extremely dumb statement. But if we just take it as order of magnitude directionally accurate, meaning a large number, right? Whatever that really is, not 45 billion, I think it drives home the point that SOC analysts can't keep up, period. There's just no way. Even if that's 1.0001% of that number, they still won't be able to keep up.
Right. Well, I mean, they're probably talking about every port probe by every port scan, just the general noise that you see on the internet as a whole. So what's hitting them is probably hitting 9% of everybody else who has a presence on the public internet. But the larger your presence, the more you're going to get hit, right? It's just surface area. But yeah, I mean, I've always thought the SOC is a symptom of the problem, not the solution. The fact that you need to throw a bunch of bodies at sorting through data means you probably need a better strategy around how you capture and use that data in the first place. So yeah, I've often gone through my red flag, yellow flag, and InfoSec hoarding metaphor, where everyone's afraid to throw anything away because it could be important one day. But the problem is you don't want to put that in front of your face every day. Everything that might be important. You've got to find a way to get to the red flags, the things that are always bad. You hear broken glass, you always want to check that out. When you hear glass smash in your house, but if you just hear any noise, you investigate every noise, probably not going to have time. Wiz created an interesting database. It's basically like some of the stuff that I do. It's some analysis of breaches. and how they happen, and they've got references and stuff like that. So it's really cool that they've built that. There's a great debate. I don't know if you saw this, Katie or Tyler, between Ras Halaluk and Haroon Mir on LinkedIn about whether or not it's practical to bootstrap a company, or if you pretty much have to go the VC route.
I haven't seen that one. That sounds like a juicy one.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I haven't seen it either, but I have bookmarked it for tomorrow.
And I just did too. They're both very respectful debaters, so it's really interesting to read through. It's almost a little bit harder to read through because they're so respectful, because it takes a little bit to get to the point, because they have to appreciate each other's points and stuff like that. But I think they both have really good points in this. And it's worth checking out that debate.
Thank you. I'm definitely marking it right now.
And we are not going to get through all this. We definitely have to do the squirrel story because it's going to be on the YouTube thumbnail. But I did want to let you talk about 13, Tyler. And 13 and 14. Well, 14 is the thing that I wrote, but 13 really wanted to dig into. 15 is also you.
Yeah. I've been prolifically writing recently. I'm really enjoying kind of trying to double down on. Are you writing
or is ChatGPT writing? I just want to know.
17 was ChatGPT that you mentioned. I think you brought that to my attention. Number 17.
Number 17. Oh, the cargo culting one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll let you choose. Which one of those you want to jump through.
We can't cover them all. I think
choose between your children.
Yeah, man. Listen, here, I'll do this. Carta did a stupid thing and stole a bunch of their own data to try to make a secondary liquid market. Bad idea. It backfired. The unicorn is being redefined as 3 billion in valuation or more, because that's really what it takes to IPO today. You can't really IPO at $1 billion or more. That's the TLDR on that one. I'm skipping 14 because I'll leave that for you. You can talk about your own on the public network as a misnomer. And my favorite one are the ones that I wrote in the last couple of weeks is the margin crush is coming in 2024. And I don't want to get into and spoil that article because it's difficult to give it a TLDR without getting into some of the definitions of what margin is and how businesses work. I highly recommend you go read it and try to understand what I'm getting at there. The light version of it is that a lot of companies are struggling. A lot of SaaS-based data collection style companies in the cyber area are struggling right now because their cost of goods sold are so high because of what it takes to read, write, and store data in the cloud, coupled with a crush on their ability to make revenue, is creating a margin issue. And how that margin issue is going to actually impact startups and cyber companies across the board, I kind of go through in an essay there. There, I touched on 3 of them. How's that, A?
Yeah, that's great. That's margin crush. I wish we had more time for that because that's the one that I'll have to just go read it. But I don't understand the term, so I'll have to go learn about that.
We can punt it next week. We can do a deep dive next week as well, Adrian. Happy to do that.
Okay. So I wrote an essay for Tyler's Substack as well. Talking about how it seems kind of very old thinking, that we still have standards like PCI that consider public internet as open and public, and then internal networks as trusted versus untrusted. It's just kind of a very old idea that's been disproven. If I want to capture traffic on the public internet and I'm not the source or the destination, I have to hack Verizon or some tier 1 internet provider. What's more likely, me doing that or me going after Bob in accounting? So it's calling in, saying you don't have to encrypt traffic internally just seems kind of insane to me these days, especially that all these security tools, like we've got dozens and dozens of security tools that will, if they detect an attack, they'll take a packet capture. And if you've got credit cards flying around unencrypted, they're going to end up in those packet captures. I've seen credit card data in SIMs. I've seen it in IDSs. I've seen it. I've seen them all over the place on endpoints, on security systems, passwords too. When passwords get set unencrypted, they end up in all these systems. It's bizarre.
I guess my mind is just blown, Adrian, as to. I mean, I've been in cyber for over 20 years, and this is, I remember sniffing packets in 1998 and 97 at DEF CON 6, right? When I was doing Capture the Flags back in the day. We were sniffing packets and capturing passwords and putting people on the wall of sheep, right? And it's 20-something years later. Why don't we encrypt by default? Where did we go wrong? How did we not get there? That every packet is encrypted, period, full stop.
No, I think the key thing is nobody made certificate management easy by default. And I think that's probably the easiest answer to most of that.
Agreed. But the question is, why not? We literally have created a company for every other minute, odd, or stupid or unique cyber problem, but nobody solved the fact that data shouldn't be in transit in the clear. It seems so painfully easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and on the public internet, it became ubiquitous. Like you couldn't.
That's the point.
Yeah,
that's exactly the point. Like anything that traverses past my edge when I had an edge should be VPN tunneled. Period. Forced 100%. Anything internal on east-west traffic, the minute it leaves the individual endpoint, should be encrypted before it reaches next endpoint. And if we could make those default standards within our networking systems, then nobody worries.
Well, and that's one of the core principles of zero trust is just treat everything like you're on the public internet, and your security gets markedly better.
Are you trying to tell me I just actually put up a positive fight for zero trust?
You did.
You don't hate zero trust. You hate the marketing garbage that surrounds it.
Katie, you're always there to bring me down to reality. I love it.
All right. So a bunch of great essays in here you should go check out. Margin Crush, we must consider software developers a key part of the cybersecurity workforce. Silicon Valley's cargo culting problem, the year the passkey is still far away, and the rise of internet agents, a new era of cybersecurity. And also because Katie mentioned it, I threw in Ross Halleluch's, it's not showing up here for me yet, the hero culture in cybersecurity essay, which I haven't had a chance to read yet, but I will take Katie's word that it's a really good read. Reminds me
you can pretty much count on anything from him being a good read and really, it is long. I will warn you, like if you have 5 minutes, don't start it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you've ever read the Phoenix Project, I assume it's the concept of Brent. The character of Brent in the Phoenix Project was the hero that caused a lot of issues because you had that single point of failure, that one person that glued everything together by being irreplaceable.
Yeah, that's part of it, not the whole thing, but part of it.
So let's jump to the squirrel story. I wish I could mention some of these other ones, but they would take us down rabbit holes. So we're just going to go to the squirrel story, which one of my favorite new places, little niche journalism sources is 404 Media, which are some folks from Vice Motherboard that broke off and started their own thing. I am a paid subscriber because I love their content. A lot of it's serious stuff, but they find this silly stuff also. They love using the Freedom of Information Act, and in this case, they used it to get the NSA's Furby docs. Because when Furby first came out, like it would respond to sound. Oh my God. If you're watching,
gosh, that's amazing.
If you're watching the video of this podcast, it just got very weird. It got borderline disturbing. There are Furbies around
borderline? No.
Borderline.
Sean, you have outdone yourself. That is a lot of Furbies. I can't imagine how how much copying and pasting you had to do to make that happen. But yeah, there were apparently some real concerns because it responded to sound. Like, what is it doing with that sound? Is it storing it? Does it have a chip that can store audio on it? Should we be concerned if a Furby's sitting in somebody's office? And somebody basically said, "Please stop wasting our time with this." So
that sounds like the right reaction to me.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty humorous though.
And look how far we've come. Now we all have an automated Furby in our house called Google Home or Alexa or Siri at all times.
Not all of us, but...
Come on, you don't have... Well, you have a phone. You have an iPhone. You got Siri listening to you right now.
I do not.
Ooh,
so
Luddite.
Yeah, you can turn that stuff off. My Siri is off on my stuff. I am a recent adopter. I'm still carrying both an Android phone in addition to my iPhone, but recent adopter there. So I can FaceTime with my kids and my girlfriend and stuff like that. Got pulled into it. But yeah, big thanks to Jason Koebler for going and finding funny stuff that we can talk about at the end of the show.
That is absolutely fantastic.
I like the hot pink one. I'm gravitating towards that little hot pink one on the bottom there. I like him a lot.
The funniest part about this article is, Adrian, the line that says, CodaCat, I presume that's the person that did the Freedom of Information Act request, got a manila envelope of documents in the mail from the NSA to their house with more than 60 pages of documents, including the original listserv thread, employee discussions about whether the Furby was actually a security threat, an internal memo trying to do damage control over the Washington Post story, and an exhaustive list of all media outlets that originally wrote about the ban. 60 pages of content.
Yeah, on Furbies.
Somebody's got a lot of time.
How many pages of documents do they have on Amazon Alexa? Jesus.
Oh my gosh. It says, you can't type fast enough to explain the level of shitpost request you made a year ago to the Department of Defense and suddenly got 60 pages of manila envelopes sent to your doorstep.
That's great.
Fantastic.
All right. Katie and I need to go seek out some fish tacos, so we need to wrap this thing up. Tyler, Katie, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a blast.
It was a pleasure as always, Adrian. Thank you for having me.
All right, and we will be back next week with another show. So big thanks to everyone watching or listening to this week's show. We'll have to see if we can top the squirrel story next week.